Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Nobody, but because I'm an elder person, I'm a master. I'm a master at nothing. Uh, what do they call it? You know, jack of all trades, master of none. And the reason why I'm so convinced about that is because once you get to a certain age, you realize that most of what you know uh, is, you know, you can't really be sure of it. And most of what there is to be known is still to be learned, to be revealed, to be discovered. And so um, I'm sort of poised a little bit at. I read stuff, and at our age, what happens is that nobody wants to listen to you anymore. Nobody pays attention. Nobody values what you have to give. On the other side, I think that our voice maybe is the one that most of all has to give because we have a vision in time, and also we tend to look at things in a more ample, more holistic sort of way. The other thing is that selfishness is out of the equation because we're pretty much standing or sitting on the threshold of time. We're fading out. Many of our friends are gone. So, from a finite point of view, we tend to more look backwards and to look at the relativity of things. So, for example, if they interview me and they ask me what's most on my mind, what I'm most focused on, it's family. It's not money. If I make money, it is to provide for my children, to give them something, to leave them a heritage, or most important than money, I try to give them an intellectual legacy, a spiritual legacy, you know, a moral legacy, a practical legacy. I mean, a day to day, you know, and the other reason why I think that I may have certain things to contribute in the most humble way, and the most honest and sincere way. And that's why, for the first time, I'm actually talking in English. Is that I'm originally from Europe, a little tiny country called Belgium. We live about in the center, but we're Flemish, so like Dutch and Germanic, Northern. But in Belgium, we have also the French, the Latin community of Belgium. And so I would say Germanic, Northern, and Southern cultures are obviously part of one single country for hundreds of years. So definitely we're bicultural in that sense. And it's not only that we're bicultural, like if we would be Dutch and then bicultural mixed in with English or with Germans, that's pretty much very similar because we have that northern background, that northern culture, like Denmark and Norway and all that, Switzerland, Austria, and so forth. No, no, no. Belgium is mixed up with France, which is Latin, and then that opens up the whole horizon towards what is Spain. Even though Spain stands a little bit alone because there's a lot of Moroccan, Arabian influence definitely in that culture. And then, of course, we have Italy and so forth, and also Latin and so forth. So we have affinity, we have an instinctive tolerance and openness towards these cultures, to be bicultural. That's an identity. You grow up from a little childhood, little kid, you grow up with that. So you embrace your own, but you're familiar with the other culture, other roots, and vice versa. They are with you. So that's one eye opener. And then my father worked as an engineer for 2 years in Belgium, Congo, in a metallurgic industry, as the director of a foundry. And so I was there for 3 months only. But my brothers and sisters and my mom and dad, they were there for 2 years. And it was just a stint. But, there's a bit of a background there of having been in Africa and, and to have, as a child, seen the enormity of that continent, in the sense of the amazing wealth of culture and so forth. That's definitely a transcultural experience, especially for a child. It was very scary for me because it was all new, normal. You're 10 years old. It's like, whoa, just the climate and the jungle and the big trees and the people and the wide openness and everything. Belgium is extremely tidy and conservative and small and everything and predictable and boring. There's nothing of that in Africa. It's not boring at all. It's a huge continent, beautiful, very beautiful. The cultural heritage, the clothing, the fabrics, the sculpture, wow, and then the music and the percussion and so forth, was very impressive. Anyway, after that, as if it's not enough, we got involved with the Mormon church, so we got to know the missionaries and so forth. And then we came to Ecuador. My father, was an engineer, came to work in Ecuador in South America, the city of Guayaquil. So, whoa, that's another, here we have the river Guayas, which is a brown water river, where the tide comes in and goes down on a daily basis, and so the same as the Congo stream. And so there was a bit of a deja vu, but now we have this Andean, we have this coastal plain, we have this Spanish, we have this Spanish colonial history here, totally different. So we arrived in Guayaquil and then began to adapt to this completely different environment. And we came, at that time, I was 15 only, just barely. I was 14, barely became 15. And so I was a little kid. And so everything was new. And of course, I immediately missed my friends and missed my school and whatnot. But eventually you make new friendships and you adapt, So that was cool. And then from Guayaquil, where we used to live, where we lived for a long time, and I have nephews there, and my brother here has grandchildren and whatnot. So anyway, when I was 17, I came to the Galapagos Islands, in the middle of the Pacific. And so that was another cultural shock because it was a tiny little farmer village with some expatriates there, Charles Darwin Station, scientists from all over the world. And then we started working with tourism, which were people from all over the world. From the United States, first a lot of those, and then a lot of Europeans. And so now the Galapagos Islands we have 270,000 visitors now in the Galapagos Islands. So I think that Galapagos is very cosmopolitan as a tourism destination and very universal. And Ecuador now is like, we're flying jet planes and big luxury cruisers and modern technology and everything. It's a very modern, very advanced country, a very diverse country, culturally, geologically, environmentally, great biodiversity, very ancient history of all sorts. One of the most fascinating countries in the world, really, and so, once again, all that sort of, builds up. I'm still related and a member, not fully active. I guess I'm always a bit the black sheep of the family. My family is totally involved with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My two sisters actually went to study in the United States. Eventually they married over there. I have 10 nephews. I got married to a girl from New York, and then 40 years later we divorced. We have a daughter. And then I got married to a girl from Quito. We have 3 children. I have 5 children altogether, 4 girls and 1 boy. Well, I had a relationship with a German girl. She didn't want to remarry. She was divorced. So we have a daughter together also, but, she didn't want to marry. So, and then eventually I married my Ecuadorian wife. But it's fascinating because all these experiences are so universal, so cross-cultural, right? That it all builds up into a sort of universal awareness. And not because you read stuff or you're interested in these sort of things, but because you live it. You're part of it intrinsically. And one day I'm talking to my son. We're sitting in the car, and I'm going like, he says, you have your opinions, Dad, but I'm as intelligent as you are. And I go like, of course you are. Actually, you're more intelligent because right now your brain works faster than mine. For one simple reason is that whenever I think about something, I have to go through all the files that I have in my mind, that I have to rake my brain before I actually make an opinion, because my brain takes more time. It's like a huge computer with, big a big file, and it slows down. But it's because it has so much content. If you reboot that computer completely, it's very fast at the beginning too. So I said, but there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. And I said, you're smarter, you're faster, you're as intelligent as I am, and hopefully I always expect you to be more intelligent than I am. But I am the one who is wiser. And I go and you want to know why? And we're sitting the driver, and several persons sitting in the taxi in the car. And he goes I said, do you want to know why? I said, why? Because I made so many more mistakes than you did. That handles lots of mistakes. So when I try to give you an advisor, when I'm saying, listen, yes, but maybe not, it's not black and white, maybe yes, but still think about this and that too. It's easier said than done. And hopefully, and we're more like scientists, tentatively. We speak more, yeah, it could be, it's possible, who knows. Likely, why not? But we're not going to, oh yeah, okay, well, we'll see. There's always 10% chance that things may actually happen the way we start dreaming them up. And that's good, that's a lot. And if you have, 25 or 35 dreams, and you go for them, and you stumble and you can't fulfill them all, but you've been pushing and shoving and working, on 6 or 7 of those, 150 dreams, and somehow you accomplished half of one, and then about a third of another one, and maybe 17% of a third one, and you pushed it that far. That's not bad. You've made some headway. You've done something. So, but it's not as much as about having ideals and having goals and having dreams. A dream is like something, you think about. A goal is a dream with a date on it, that's something that's you're going to work on. You're going to have a working plan and whatnot. But hopefully you have the right goals and you have the right dreams. Because you may get to the end of your life, you may have a successful business, but that's not what you wanted. I'm now awaking at this point in my life, and I'm realizing why I am such an absolute failure as a business person. And I have great ideas, great projects. They can turn into great businesses. I start them off, and then when I'm, 1/3 along the road, and the thing is it's beginning, it's there, you can see it, and then I lose the steam and the push behind it, because I want to be creative. And then there's part of my subconscious that says, I expect someone else, a partner, a business partner or a person with administrative and business capabilities. I expect a core team to take over the vision, because my subconsciousness is going to go towards, it's going to pull in the direction of creative work, dreaming new stuff up, generating ideas, generating new artwork, new books, all that, new paintings, new writings, new music, new lyrics, new poetry, new YouTube blabbers, whatever. It's always going to be pushing in some sort of creative direction. And my subconscious is the one in charge. Imagination is always more powerful than the mind, than the willpower. There is no willpower that can supersede the imagination. So if you decide, yeah, I'm going to be successful at business, I'm going to be that part of what you're doing, to be that business person, no. You have to have a core team eventually. Different other people. If you don't have enough money, you can't hire them, so you have to create a partnership. You have to have a core team, because someone's got to do the number crunching and, bring you back down to earth. And you need an executive who makes things actually happen. Someone in sales and marketing and whatnot. Stuff like that. And that can be one person, and you can work with them, but they have to tell you, hey, come here, we need you 2 or 3 hours or 2 days to work in this and get to it, and they keep you focused on that and they force you. If not, you're wandering off all the time, because that's not you. If you would go and you would go like, okay, you go to a business and they go like, okay, what sort of back history do you have in business? And you go like, oh, well, I started 5, 6 businesses of my own, and we did it with this and with that, and these were the ideas, great ideas. I said, how successful were you? Well, I had to shut them all down because somehow, this and that happened. I said, well, yeah, we'll call you. I said, this guy's got great ideas, but he's not an administrative, he's not the person to be there when we need someone, a creative director, and so forth, yeah, there we go. It could be even a product manager, whatever. Idea generating, very important for all businesses. Talent, that's what they want to have. Innovative, thinking out of the box, whatnot. But not in day-to-day management where everything becomes like routine and so forth. That just doesn't work for persons like myself. So I'm sort of having an awakening by now that I'm 69. That I really go, I've been, barking up against the wrong tree. I've been pushing up the wrong hill. I should sit somewhere on a raft floating down river. Looking at the meadows and have a canvas where I paint or take pictures or talk or whatever. And but I'm not the lumberjack. I've done that sort of stuff, but that's not. So I'm not a business person. I want to do stuff. I don't want to paint to sell paintings. I don't want to do paintings, for example, or write a book because it looks pretty. I'm subservient to humanity. I want to serve. I want my life to have a certain meaning for the happiness of others. When I was a kid, actually I studied for a year Latin Greek studies. I was going to become a parisher. So mine is not being in the tourism, trade, and service business. Mine is actually mine is service to others, humanity. That's where I'm at. If I would have a sponsor that would, say, okay, how much do you need a month, sort of, real basic for you to sort of, pay the rent of your workshop and the electricity, and then a little bit of food, whatever, and, and cell phone communication. I mean, really basic. I don't need much. I live an extremely simple life on purpose. Whatever I make, I reinvest it always into the little business and into my children and into the community, whatever I can do. I'm always thinking about how can I give, not only how can I give back to the community, because I have a deep-rooted gratitude to its life and existence and humanity and the universe. Why not? But also I think that each and one of us, we are seeds. And I believe in sowing and planting and multiplying the good things that I've inherited from my parents and my grandparents and my culture, and that I see in my children. That sort of simple greatness which is born from gratitude and simplicity. You don't build a great nation, and we don't build up a great humanity unless we are capable of construing a human society, a planetary society, based on simple values. So we don't need all these laws and all these regulations and all these boundaries and all these international agreements and all these frontiers, which we realize in reality are not applicable, and so forth. I mean, they're there, that's fine. I'm not going to say do away with all that. Who am I? Once again, I'm master nobody, the master of nothing. But that's not what we need. What we need is principles, the basic ground values. And that's one of the things that we see, is that more and more that we look at, online and so forth, we look at society and everybody hurts and everybody, and the rights of these and the rights of that, and we make things pretty complicated. Is because we make them complicated, but basically when we step back a little, we go like, well, if we have a couple of basic principles, then the solution, if you step back a little bit, right, the underlying solution to all of that is pretty simple. We go like, yeah, but how are you going to solve the war between Israel and Palestine? Well, ask them. Ask all these people, all these mothers and fathers and children and daughters and babies and uncles and aunts and so forth, who want to get up in the morning and, rake the garden and make a little barbecue on the weekend, and go to the beach and so forth and go and do some shopping and watch their kids grow up. Do you want war? Everybody's going to say, no, we don't want war. We don't want war at all. Okay, well, and there's the answer. So what makes it impossible for us to solve these problems between, America and Japan and the Philippines and Australia and China and the China Sea and this and that, and then the Russians up in the north and the Ryukyu Islands, I don't know, whatever. There's some islands there that, and then Taiwan. And on the other hand, you have Israel and Palestine and Yemen and Iraq and Iran and whatnot, and then over there you have Russia with Ukraine, and then where else are there tensions? Immigration problems, Islam, Christianism, whatever, everybody's getting paranoid. All that is pressure building up. Yeah, there may be people that go like, yeah, we have to go to war over this and that. And they're willing to lay down their lives. Hot-headed, idealistic. Let's go and fight. And they go. Off they go. And then when the fighting is over and then the end result is there, they get weary and scarred. Eventually, and you're like, well, and they're still going to have to get to a point where they're going to have to talk it over. And that's recurrent, after a couple of generations maximum. Each generation, creates its own demise, in a way. Maybe the many other nations that should look at the realities and go like, don't put anyone into the corner, right? Do not do unto others what you do not wish to be done unto yourself. The seventh commandment, right, present in the Ten Commandments, which are ruling principles. Do not do unto others what you do not wish to be done unto yourself. If collectively and individually we would, in the morning, recite that, and then go out and do our deeds, that simple awareness would carry the day. We should not go and exploit others. We should stand next to each other and carry within us that underlying deep awareness that we need each other. We need each and every one of us is absolutely necessary. And there's a reason for each and every one of us, and for each and every little tiny ant and earthworm and seed and flying insects and birds and whales and fish, mammals and reptiles, for everything. There is a reason for every oxygen molecule, for every mineral, for everything that exists. There is a reason why. If not existence as we know it wouldn't exist. It would not be a reality. So the greatest wealth we can have in the world is that awareness. And be aware of that every single day. Put things into perspective. Embrace principles. Eternal principles of the cosmos, of the universe. And carry that vision inside. And all the other scale of values will fade away in virtue of this overlying truth. Or underlying truth, whatever you wish to put it.